Hi all, welcome back to the YouTube channel. Let's start repeating work using UiPath. In today's session, we are going to discuss about var function. So before jumping into var function, so what is the use of learning this var function? So where it has been used. So this var function which help us to find out decide data from the data table or an array or in a list. So wherever if you want to find your designated data, this var function which help us to find out the data without using any looping concept. So if you want to find out a particular data, so how usually we used to do, so we used to loop through, right? So let's take an example over here in this particular data table. So if you want to check any like email ID or any address, so how usually we used to do read range. After that, we used to make a for each. Inside this for each, we used to make an if condition to find out the particular data, right? So, but when you're using a LinQ, you can directly make your query language using the var function. You can get the particular data. So in this way, it will be very easier and much faster when comparing to the for each. So if you're having like 1 lakh data or 2 lakh data, it will be hard, right? So your particular designated value in a 1 lakh or in a like 99,000 place, it can be in any places. So but when you're using a link queue, it will save all the time in a fraction of second. It will find out the data which you're looking for. So without wasting time, let me quickly jump back to the UiPath Studio and have a live example. So the above one which we had discussed on our previous session, so which is aggregate function. In this session, we are going to discuss about var function. So this is our statement. So we are going to find this particular mail ID from this particular spreadsheet. So as in now, so we can see only 10 records, right? So let's assume if you have 1 lakh record or 2 lakhs record, so it will be very hard to find out so where particular data has been there in your spreadsheet, right? So this concept can be applicable for an array or list, so any kind of things. So for a time being, so I was just taking an example in the data type. Let me go to the UiPath Studio. So here we are going to use a single assign activity where you are going to enter all your var function inside the value. So let me go to the activity panel. So here let me drag and drop an assign activity. So we can just create a variable name, so which is a find email ID. So let me go here, control K, find email ID. Perfect. So in the value section, we are going to use our entire query. Okay. So before that, so let me comment off our aggregate function. So we know enough now it. So let me try to expand this. So here we are going to use our data table. So let me open this. Let me go to the property panel. So DT challenge is our data table name, right? Perfect. So let me once again go here. Let me try to open up this. Perfect. So we are going to use our LinQ query now. So which starts with our data table name, right? So DT challenge and then dot as enumerable. So after that, open bracket, close bracket. So here we are going to call our function. So once I clicked here dot, so I can see various kind of function over here. So which is aggregate, one of the function which I showcased on last session. So likewise, so we have many kind of functions. So which is var function, select function. So these are the very like common things which will be used across all projects. So in today's example, as I said, so we can take a var condition, open close brackets. So inside this we are going to call our function, so which is exactly similar to the last session what we had done. Okay, so let me call the function. So after that, and then row. So after that, row dot field. So here you are going to declare the data type of the particular field, so of the particular column which you are going to look on. So this is a string, right? So if something called as number, so this is a off double. So since it is a number, we are going to use a double when you are going to use this one or this one. So since it is string, which you see here as an email ID, so we can use off string. So let me call off string. So after that, so here you're going to mention the particular column name which you're going to look upon. So double quotes, and the column name is email ID. So let me copy this and go and paste over here. After that, so we're going to make an arithmetical operation. So we're going to check for a particular email ID, right? So dot equals bracket close bracket double quotes, which particular email ID which you're going to look upon. So this is the mail ID, right? So let me try to copy over here Let me try to copy this. Go here, enter. So we have entered the email ID which we are going to look upon. So after that we are going to call one more function which is nothing but count, which help us to find out the particular data in the data table or not. So dot count. So if the particular mail ID is there, then the count will be 1, right? So based upon that, we are able to find out so whether the particular email ID which you are going to look upon so is there or not. So and then count. So click on OK. So here we are getting error since the data table has been kept as a string by default. So let me try to change this as int. You can see the error has been gone now. Perfect. So here we'll be getting an output as a 1 or 0. So if the value is 1, so what actually it means? So the particular email ID has been occurred in the data table for the one time. So if it is 0, then the particular email ID is not there in the data table, right? So in this way you can easily find out so whether the email ID is there or not. So let's assume, so if you are going to use a legacy approach, how do you approach that? So you have to use a for each. Inside that you have to use an if condition to find out the particular email ID is there or not, right? So after that you have to use an if condition also, so which help us to find out the particular email ID which you are going to look upon, right? So these are the steps which you have to do when you are going to approach in a legacy way. So let's assume if you are going to use in a LinQ, it's very simple, right? I just wrote only a assign activity where I can contain all the stuffs in a single shot. So let me remove all these stuffs. So after that, let me drag and drop a right line to see the count. After that, so as we know, dot to string. Perfect. Let me save this and let me run this now. So once I run this, what the desired output I should get? I should get the output as 1, right? So let me wait and watch. Let me save and then let me debug. So let me wait for the output. Perfect, right? So I got the output as a 1. Cool. So which means this particular mail ID which I was looking on, so is there already in the data table for only one occurrence. So let's assume, so let me check for any other data. So let me take some repetitive value so that you can able to find so whether this particular results has been reflected in the occurrence of count. So let me take any other value. So here, so let me take analyst. So analyst has been mentioned twice, right? So don't forget to change your column names as well. Okay. So what I will do, I'll just go here, open this. Perfect. So change the value and don't forget to change the particular column name as well. Okay. So you need to look upon in a different column. So you have to change the column names as well. So here I just going to change my column name. Perfect. So let me click on OK. Cool. Save and then debug. Perfect. So now I should get the count as 2 since the analyst has been twice in there in a data table. Perfect, right? 2 times. So which means this particular analyst has been mentioned in the data table for twice only. Cool. So likewise, you can easily traversal into the data table on an array or a list using this LinQ method. So in our next session, I'm just going to teach you a select query, so which help us to get the data directly. Instead of getting the count, we can get the particular data from the spreadsheet. I hope this video will be helpful for you. Thanks for watching. Happy learning. Have a good day.